What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about what's going on with the market very, very briefly, and then talk about what's likely going to happen for tomorrow as I give you guys my price predictions. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Now, this offer ends today. It ends in just about 11 hours from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So NIO is up about 0.36% for the day, or at least that's how much it was up for Friday. But the question is, how will NIO move going forward? I didn't really see any major pieces of news coming out for NIO so far, but there was some news about how the Chinese government is once again invested in surging and increasing stimulus to help not only like improve the economy, but they're also trying to help prop up their stock market and doing things like that. So this could be a little more positive for NIO. There was more like news that came out over the weekend about that, but for NIO specifically, I didn't see anything too new from what I talked about like yesterday and after that. So I just want to focus now on how things are looking from a technical standpoint and some other pieces of news for the overall market that could still affect NIO. So for the market, an hour before the market opens, we have the manufacturing data coming out, the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, not that significant, nothing too big. And besides that, we just have Harker giving two speeches. He's going to be giving his speech 1 hour after the market opens. So we will see what he says. If this causes any volatility or anything like that, we'll just have to be patient from here. As far as earnings go, I just want to mention that for Monday, we have Charles Schwab announcing earnings. We have VWE later on. Then we have more banks after the market closes. Whatever happens with Charles Schwab could help the market to some extent. And let me just note that when the banks had their earnings right on Friday, all of the banks ended up doing better than expectations. And part of that may have been because of the fact that expectations have been quite low. So that's going to be very telling for what happens for tomorrow. My gut is telling me that since every single bank did well relative to what the estimates were, as estimates have been lowered and manipulated, there's a good chance that Charles Schwab is going to do well for earnings, and this could help the market try to bounce just a little bit. We're going to be watching some key resistance levels, which are going to be very important for tomorrow. That's why I want to talk about that very, very soon. Now, when it comes to the stock market, the news is saying that it looks like the 1987s, but that does not mean that another October crash is imminent. So we're going to be watching to see what that causes. I just want to mention that history has a tendency of rhyming, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same. The reason for that is because circumstances tend to be very different. We're very different right now from what happened in the 1980s. So things are different, with technology from the standpoint of global situations and geopolitical issues. Things are quite different now relative to then. So right now, I'm not going to like worry about what happened 30 years ago and maybe use that as a claim as to what will happen today. The market is not really like that, so it's just best to be open-minded. So, anyways, I want to talk about other things now. Looking at NIO, the volume we got was about 28 million, which is a little bit below average, but not too bad overall. And then looking at more data, we got a buy rating from Deutsche Bank, which is not bad. Price ratio is kind of flat right now, not really changing too much. And looking at more seasonality data, you guys could see that Mondays we tend to be a little weaker. We're only green about 49% of the time, so close to a coin flip, but not that much. And at the same time, I'm not really seeing any new updates from any other pieces of data. I think the short sales data is still about to update. So with that said, let's talk about the technicals. How are the technicals looking for the markets? How is NIO looking? Well, with the Chinese government trying to prop up the stock market, there's a chance NIO could try to bounce a little bit because we have a possible inverse head and shoulders developing here. We have like this left shoulder here. We have a head right here. NIO could kind of like dip a little bit during the pre-market, then start pushing up towards this 9.1 area because the market may try to bounce temporarily, okay? But that does not mean that NIO is going to bounce forever. That does not mean NIO is going to keep pushing. It could still reject in the very, very low nines, but I do believe there's going to be a small rebound coming. And part of that has to do with the overall market. Here's why. When you look at Tesla, okay, you could argue that Tesla has something similar as other stocks. We have like a possible left shoulder here, a head that developed, and we could be developing like a right shoulder if we do get a bounce off this support. However, I just want to call out the fact that when you look at Tesla, one could also argue that Tesla has like a slanted head and shoulders. I'm not going to really worry about that just yet. What's going to matter more is what happens with Tesla's earnings and etc. So bringing back my drawings, let me just call out that Tesla's been on a small channel, and there's a chance it may try to bounce from here because when you look at the chart, not only do we have earnings this week for Tesla, but looking at the chart, we have this very, very minor divergence. Let me just check the 30-minute time frame. Very tiny looking bullish divergence right here, which tells me Tesla's going to try to rebound, most likely, especially heading into its earnings. But that does not mean that Tesla has to explode. So just because Tesla like rebounds a bit, we're going to likely retest this trend line around this 257 to 255 area. So I do, excuse me, I do see Tesla attempting to push up there, but overall, even if Tesla does break above this trend line, I wouldn't necessarily turn too bullish because even if it pumps on Monday slash Tuesday and even like a part of Wednesday, Tesla could pump approaching its earnings. That's what tends to happen. But who knows what's going to happen after earnings? There could be a rug pull, so you want to be very careful. You got to be very, very careful depending on that. So this could be forming a head and shoulders for after earnings for a big, big, big drop. So we will have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. I just wanted to call out this possibility, and I just wanted to warn everyone to be as prepared as possible. But before that happens, before any rug pulls or earnings, Tesla may see some upside alongside SPY in the market, just temporarily. Okay, on SPY, we may see a small bounce because we're in this channel that's like obviously a downtrend. But if you look at SPY, we could come down to this like support. It doesn't even have to come that low. Then we could see a rebound towards this 433 area, which I think is going to happen. We have to see, can SPY break this or not? If we manage to break above this, if we manage to break above this trend line like this could be a little bit more bullish, and we can make an attempt back for like 435 technically. But we need to break this trend line first, and so far it hasn't happened. So watch and see if there's a rejection or not. As of right now, it looks like we're going to see a small rebound attempt, but it could still fail. I'm just warning you guys, it could still fail. There's going to be an attempt, and I just wanted to call that out for tomorrow. For the QQQ, same thing. Same thing is going to be likely happening. Watch for a little rebound, but there's no guarantee it's going to last. Okay, we could rebound and still be on a big downtrend. So watch this channel very carefully. That's on the triple Q. If the QQQ rejects off this like I don't know. It depends on the timing in which we reach this trend line. Could be very close to that 367 area. Watch that very carefully, see if you reject off this or not. If you reject, I would turn bearish, but if you manage to break this, then it could try to rebound back up towards this imbalance like right here, right? That is where it could try to make its way back up to if you manage to break this trend line. But for now, we don't know what's going to happen, so just be very patient and we will have to wait and see. For Nvda stock, this is also doing something very similar. Going to be looking for a little attempt to rebound off this trend line. We're still very close to where this white trend line is. I wouldn't say we truly broke below it yet. I wouldn't call this a break yet. So look for a potential rebound attempt. We will see if Nvidia could pull this off or not. And then it could just continue to fail. Maybe retest this support right here on this 461-ish area, very close to this trend line, and then reject and start selling off. So we're going to be watching this very carefully to see if we get that rejection or not, but it's going to be very, very key for tomorrow. And then finally for Apple, we have something else developing. Apple's looking a bit weaker, getting the sell-off. I just wanted to mention that very carefully. As Apple's looking this way, we have a possible head and shoulders that is developed. So it looks like there could be a little bit more downside coming for Apple. It could actually come a little lower towards this 178 to 177.5 area, then attempt to rebound. But there is a possible head and shoulders developing on it. This could be like the head. This could be a left shoulder. This could be like a right shoulder forming. So we're going to be watching to see if Apple does something like this, where it like comes down to our demand zone and bounces a little bit, just a tiny little bounce on Monday, back up to this like 179.5 area. If it rejects here, if it rejects, we could be forming a head and shoulders, and Apple could be sinking a little bit lower as the days go on for another week or so. So I just wanted to warn you about that. That is something that could play out for Apple. All right. So we're going to be watching these levels. But the bottom line is the market has something in common, and that is we may see a small rebound first before anything else happens. And for that reason, I think that that's going to help NIO bounce, especially with the news about the Chinese government increasing funding for these different sectors. So I think NIO is going to likely, attempts to form that inverse head and shoulders that I was talking about. I think SPY and the QQQ are going to help NIO. And NIO is going to likely try to get above this 50 EMA right here, this 8.48 area. If we break that, watch it retest 8.63. If it breaks above both of these tomorrow, which I think it's going to possibly attempt to do, watch these imbalances towards this like 8.9 to 9.1 area. My gut tells me it's going to get very close to $9 if we do maintain this inverse head and shoulders. And I think it's going to try to do so and try to balance very, very soon. So that is the direction I'm leaning in. I think it's going to attempt to bounce very soon. I think the $9 area is likely going to be tested for NIO. I think that there's going to be more potential for it as time goes on. All right, guys. So thank you all so much for listening. I think NIO has some potential. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I will see you guys in the next video. I thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate everyone out there, and I want to make this video as simple as possible. Enjoy the weekend, guys. NIO should bounce a bit, get very close to $9 as long as we break above the 200 EMA. I think the market's going to help it bounce for tomorrow, but watch for resistance because things could always change. All right, so watch that level, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you again, and peace out.